Hey, I'm Randy and you're watching The Cheap Audio Man. Here at The Cheap Audio Man, we talk about high-value hi-fi home theater and headphone equipment. Don't you wish you had 4,000 or 5,000 years of experience in the hi-fi world? I pulled some audio files and this is what they wish they knew when they were first starting out. So sit down, grab a cup of coffee, and let's talk about what you wish you knew when you first started your hi-fi journey. Big thank you to Kamikoto Knives for sponsoring this video. This is a bit of a shameless plug for my Patreon. We have a great community that has been built around inclusivity. Is that a word? I don't know. We're nice to each other. We don't get on each other, and if somebody gets on somebody else in Discord or my Facebook group or in Patreon, they're out. We like to teach, we like to share, we like to enrich other people's lives instead of tearing them down for not being smart enough or not having the right gear. I thought it would be interesting to leverage thousands of years of hi-fi experience by asking the simple question: would you have done anything different? What have you learned? So I'm going to read a bunch of them, and we're going to talk about a bunch of them. Huge thank you to today's sponsor, Kamikoto Knives. These are some good knives. I like to do a little food prep in the office every now and again. These knives are made from real Japanese steel with a lifetime warranty. That's right, lifetime warranty. They come in this beautiful heavy-duty ash wood box, and they're used by Michelin chefs all over the world. Apparently that's a good chef. This is gonna get real interesting real fast. This thing's ridiculously sharp. Here, hold on. Let's see if I can do it again. Hey. Cardboard. Nothing dulls a knife like cardboard. Kamikoto builds upon 800 years of technology and expertise when it comes to making knives. Each knife is meticulously created and hand inspected before it goes out the door to you. You can get a whole bunch of knives from Kamikoto. I have the 3-piece set. Comes with a utility knife, 5 inches long. The slicing knife, 8.5 inches long. And this beauty, the Nakiri 7-inch vegetable knife. Yay. So go to kamikoto.com/cheapaudioman to get $50 off your purchase. Kamikoto only uses steel that's sourced from Japanese mills. Each blade is crafted using techniques that have been honed and perfected by generations of knifesmiths. It goes through a rigorous 19-step process that takes several years from start to finish to complete. With over 100 years of experience between them, the Kamikoto expert bladesmiths hone and shape raw steel into hardy blades, polishing and sharpening them to excruciating fine detail. Kamikoto uses a single beveled edge, not two bevel, single bevel, which makes them extremely sharp. You can cut through a ribeye like butter. Interestingly enough, you can also cut through butter like butter. To keep them sharp, you can get one of Kamikoto's whetstones, used by many Michelin star chefs. Go to kamikoto.com/cheapaudioman to get $50 off your purchase. One of our newest patrons, Ed, said, I wish I had remembered that it was the music that I first fell in love with, not the boxes. I got seduced by the dark side, the gear, and chased what I thought and what everyone in the audio world was telling me was the goal. Spend more money and you will achieve perfection. I discovered that I was listening to the box and not the music. Besides, it doesn't matter how much you spend because it will never be enough. For a very long time, I bought into the lie because I was in the industry. Ooh, industry insider. Ed's in it. Ooh. I regained my senses and recovered my perspective, and while I have what could be considered a modest system, I sit and listen to music every night for 3 to 4 hours and enjoy every minute. I have actually heard this from a couple of different people that had very high-end systems at one time, got out of the hobby completely, sold their stuff, or just let it sit. And then they kind of tiptoed their way back in, but this time buying more affordable gear. In some cases, much more affordable gear. In some cases, an IEMA A07 and a couple of bookshelf speakers. And they loved it. We have short memories, of course, but some people say, hey, even this $300, $400, $500 system rivaled that of my $5,000, $10,000, or dare I say, $50,000 system. When someone like Ed, who's been in the industry for a long time, has been doing this for decades, says something like this, I have a tendency to listen to him. The takeaway here is you don't need to spend a bunch of money to enjoy the music, and that's what this is all about. Nothing wrong with wanting to research, buy more gear, because we are gearheads. We shouldn't be ashamed of that. But don't think because you're going to shell out the equivalent of a college education that you're going to have some type of nirvanic experience with your hi-fi system. Thanks, Ed. Matt K says, I wish I would have put more emphasis on sources and inputs and less emphasis on speakers. A good DAC can make a speaker sound way better than a bad DAC on a good speaker. The same can be said about phono preamps and cartridges. I couldn't agree more. Matt, I'm with you. For the longest time, I was like, ooh, speakers. Get the best speakers and it's going to sound great. There's a little bit of truth in that because I think a speaker does affect the sound significantly. What I wasn't prepared for was the Denafreps Aries 2. That's a DAC. When I got that DAC and I put it into my system, it made everything sound better. It took the Klipsch RP500M, which is a good speaker. I enjoy that speaker on a variety of electronics and inputs. It took that speaker and completely changed the sound signature. It mellowed it out. I've also had the same experience with really solid phono carts and phono preamps. The phono cart I probably like the best is the Ortofon 2M Blue. Paired up with something like the Hifi Zen Phono. Heck, even my $60 Fozzy Audio Phono preamp really adds a lot to the sound. I think when we're talking about systems, a lot of times we start at the end with the speakers. The speaker is the last thing before the music hits your ears, but everything in front of that speaker is going to add detail. And I think that's what I heard and hear the most is a significant amount of detail when I have a better source. And we're not even going to talk about amps. Amps can impact the sound significantly. But I'm with Matt here. Sometimes it's better to start at the start than at the end. Mr. Kenny Sharpenstein said, I wish I had something to share, but honestly, the Cheap Audio Man channel and this Patreon group has given me insight and direction in how to build a system. I couldn't be happier with my system. That's great. I wish this would have been around when I was a kid, but YouTube didn't exist. The internet didn't really exist. But that's another shameless plug for my Patreon because this is a community that only wants to help each other. Mr. Simon Hackshaw, good friend of mine. Simon says, I think the biggest revelation I received after many years of all-in-one/integrated systems is that moving to separates allows for refined tuning of the system without changing everything. Huh? Having now got a system with a mid-range DAC, headphone amp, inline vintage EQ, AV processor, preamp, and power amp, I've been able to tune my system to experience what I initially thought was high-end snobbery. Soundstage, airiness, depth, and focus have now been revealed to me through some amazing bookshelf speakers with the assistance of some far more knowledgeable and helpful people. By switching up the components, spending far more money than I should have, I have rekindled my love for music from my youth. I am not quite ready to get back into vinyl, but for now, my speaker system is very adequate for me. I am with Simon on this. I know it's not the most convenient thing on the planet. I love separates. Even if it's really affordable separates, like an affordable DAC, an affordable power amp, like the AIMA A07, an affordable EQ, like the Schit Lokius or Loki, affordable phono preamp. I like to kind of tailor the sound to my ears. I know it's a lot tougher. It takes a lot more time to do it that way, but for me, the benefits have been incredible. It's just so great that we have affordable separate components now. It never used to be that way. You got a receiver. Now granted, in the 70s, receivers pretty much awesome. But now for $500, you can have a separate system, albeit a very modest one. But I would argue that some of the separates, even some amps that are $100, sound as good as amps 10 times the price. Yes, I said it. If you have the patience, if you have the inclination, I think separates is the way to go. Another good buddy, Buff, says, I wish I had been told Find the sound signature you like first before spending a lot of money. I have upgraded based on reviews and internet opinions only to find I didn't really like the sound better than what I had. I listened to reviewers say this sounds so good when really they're saying this sounds so good to me. I tried to do that. I said this sounds good for me. Of course, there's always the advice to go listen for yourself, but that's not always possible or feasible in today's direct sales world. It's taken me a while to zero in on the sound I like. Wish I would have known 2 years and $2,500 ago to learn my ears first. This is a great point. Now, Buff also makes a good point that this is not a quick and easy process to learn what you really like. Some people like a warm sound signature, a lush sound signature. Some people like a really clean sound signature. Clarity. I'm a clarity nut. But I also like warmth and lushness on the bottom. I'm hard to please. Hard to please, I guess. But to thine own self be true. Just because someone says something is great doesn't mean it's going to be great for you. And the only way that you know what's great for you is by trying some stuff. And even when you have that sound signature that you like, you still may want to grab something a little bit outside of your preference so that you can change it up a little bit and fall in love with the music all over again. Even if it's on a warm speaker or even if it's on a bright speaker or lively speaker. Buff makes a great point here though. We got to know what we like first. Bobby says, I wish that I had known how important that system matching is. Sometimes equipment that has great reviews won't work well in your system due to your particular gear. The flip side is that with enough time and effort and money, you can put together a fantastic system for not a lot of money by finding what works well together and with your room. I agree 100%. System synergy is paramount because if you take a DAC, something that's really analytical, and then you put it on something like a Klipsch with a Class D amplifier that's a little bit analytical, you're going to have a lot of analytics hitting your head. It's going to be like statistics class all over again, but worse because it's not nearly as enjoyable as statistics. How's that for something? Your music will be less enjoyable than statistics class. I kid. I jest. Point being is that you can balance a system. If you have a lively DAC, you can balance that out with a warmer speaker or a warmer amp. Getting all those things to jive together isn't the easiest, nor the most convenient thing on the planet. But nothing great comes easy, right? System synergy is very important, and the problem is you gotta do it for yourself. You can listen to other people, and yes, they will talk about, hey, this amp will pair well with these type of speakers, this DAC with these type of speakers, whatever it is. But it's very difficult. You gotta have the gear in your room with your music on your stuff. Mr. Nick Simonetti says, when I was shopping for my first integrated amp, I limited my search to sub $500 units with built-in USB DACs. In retrospect, I should have picked a different amp and gone with an external DAC. At the time, I didn't have a good understanding of DACs and just knew I needed one. Whew, great point here. Because integrated amps, again, while convenient, aren't going to match, normally, are not going to match the level of quality of sound you'll get from an external DAC, even a modestly priced one. Especially if you're talking about something like the Gishelli Labs J2 at around $250 to $300, which is just killer. A killer DAC. We have to keep in perspective though, if you're buying a $500 integrated amp, the chances that it's going to have a DAC that beats a $250 or $300 DAC is pretty slim. It does happen occasionally, but usually it's on much higher priced equipment that has a DAC chip that may go for $300 or $400 just the DAC chip. So if you listen to digital music, I would say start to look at external DACs. Because even a DAC, a sub 500 DAC, if you get the right one, is going to completely walk all over the DAC in even a $1,000 integrated amp. Maybe even a $2,000 integrated amp. Maybe think about budgeting for an external DAC. Because in my experience, it's going to be way better than sticking with the internal DAC in an integrated amp, even if it's an expensive one. My boy, Mr. Mark Ratboy Cochran. Mark says, I wish I had not chased the latest format technologies using mid-fi gear in the 90s through the 2010s. I didn't increase my enjoyment of film and music much, but I sure ended up with a lot of surplus equipment. Since then, I've focused on creating a dedicated 2-channel system, using both old and new components that don't apply their sound signature with a heavy hand, to just hear the music for what it was meant to be. It's so much better to not always be looking to change something that really sounds great as it is. I'm with Mark because when the whole HD music craze came out, and that is pretty recently that happened. So Amazon Music HD, you got Tidal, you got Qobuz. Now you have Apple Music that's lossless and high res. I was completely and utterly focused on, hey, the DAC has to do this. The source has to change the bit and sample rate. Otherwise, it's just not any good. And really what I've landed on is I like anything that's lossless. 1644.1, basically CD quality. If I get CD quality and up, I'm completely happy. But I just don't care about something being high res anymore. 24/192. Masters. Doesn't matter to me. I'm not saying that I won't listen to it. I will listen to it. I'm saying that my obsession with resolution didn't get me anywhere. Because at the end of the day, it's the DAC, it's the speakers, it's the amp. It's that really colors the sound, that really changes the sound signature. It's not a FLAC file. Even some MP3s sound absolutely outstanding. So it's really not about the music resolution. It's not about the bit and sample rate. It's about the rest of the equipment, and it's about how it's recorded. So you don't need to worry about the latest formats or anything like that. Curate your system, and even an MP3 is going to sound incredible. I hope you enjoyed that. I really did. I love talking to my patrons about this stuff. I love asking them questions because they have so much experience. We all have experience, and if we collectively share that as a group in a positive way, it's going to do nothing other than enrich this hobby, bring more people into this hobby, and feel more comfortable at pursuing the hobby. Make a point to go into other forums and just be kind. Help other people. Don't put them down. Don't say they're stupid. Don't say their stuff is garbage. Help other people. It's karma. If you're nice to other people, the universe will be nice to you. Other people will be nice to you. So if you want to support the channel, you can sign up for Patreon, patreon.com/cheapaudio. We have patron-only Zooms, patron-only Discord, patron-only Facebook group. You can also sign up for Amazon Music or Tidal Music. Links in the description. Oh, also Rune. Links in the description. Click sign up. Even if you quit, I still get a couple of dollars. You can also use the affiliate links in the description. If you click and you buy, I do get a commission, but it doesn't cost you any more, so it's a great way to support the channel. Like this video and subscribe too. That also helps out. Thanks button's next to the share button. You can buy me a cup of coffee, but don't feel compelled to buy me anything. So don't binge watch anything on Netflix or Hulu. Binge listen and fill your soul with happiness. And with that, I'm Randy. I'm the Cheap Audio Man.